Some of the most dangerous people are not the ones who lose their temper or act on impulse, but the ones who stay right beside the victim, appear calm, and even pretend they are trying to seek justice for them. And in Emmerdale, Graham Foster has just revealed that he is exactly that kind of person. The April 1st episode confirmed that Graham was the one behind Kim Tate being sent to hospital. But what makes this story far more disturbing is that Graham is not acting alone. The moment that secret was exposed, the tension rose immediately, because this was clearly no longer a reckless act, but a carefully calculated plan. Everything began when Kim arrived at Wishingwell for dinner with the Dingles. The original purpose was to talk, make peace, and try to ease the tension after months of conflict between the two families. It should have been a meal meant to calm things down. But by the end of the evening, everything took a completely different turn when Kim suddenly began struggling to breathe and then collapsed. She was rushed to hospital, where Jacob Gallagher said that her symptoms were very similar to mushroom poisoning. That detail instantly pushed suspicion toward the people who had been at the dinner table. Graham then quickly took it upon himself to find the culprit. On the surface, that made him look like the person most eager to uncover the truth. But looked at more closely, it was actually an incredibly clever move, because the more eager Graham seemed to investigate, the less likely anyone was to suspect him. While the Dingles started arguing over who had given Kim the dodgy mushrooms, Joe Tate and Dawn Taylor had also arrived at the hospital to see her. Not long after, Jacob entered with Dr. Todd, and it was Todd who delivered the news that left everyone stunned. The test results showed that Kim had too many painkillers in her system. That discovery immediately changed the entire direction of everyone's thinking. It made it seem as though Kim had put herself in hospital by accidentally overdosing, and it also meant that Jacob had misdiagnosed her from the beginning. Kim did not argue with Dr. Todd. She had no choice but to accept that she had accidentally taken too many tablets. What is striking is that her reaction showed she never even considered the possibility that someone else had interfered. She blamed herself almost immediately. And that is exactly what proves how dangerous Graham's plan really is. He did not choose an obvious or dramatic method. He arranged everything so that the victim would end up doubting herself. It was only afterwards that Graham's true face was fully exposed. While in the bathroom at Home Farm, he called someone and confirmed that the double dose of medication had not worked as intended. He even sighed and said he would have to find another way to get rid of his pain in the neck. That one line alone was enough to confirm that Kim was not the victim of an accident, but the target of a scheme that had been set in motion well in advance. What is especially important is that a few days earlier, Graham had found Kim at Butler's farm while she was waiting for Ross Barton to pick her up. Ross had forgotten, so Graham returned to help Kim, who was still in pain from the leg injury she suffered after falling off Ice the horse at Christmas. That is the detail that makes Graham's plan feel almost too perfect. He took advantage of the exact moment when Kim was dependent on medication and in a vulnerable state and switched her tablets for a double dose. Because no one was with Kim when she took them, she had no reason at all to think someone had forced an overdose on her. Psychologically, Graham is coming across as an extremely cold, patient, and image-conscious man. He does not just want to harm Kim. He wants to do it in the cleanest possible way so that no one can trace it back to him. The way he plays both the helper and the man searching for the culprit shows that he is the kind of character who wants absolute control. Graham does not want to defeat Kim in a loud or messy way. He wants to destroy her while making sure she never even realizes who is behind it. As for Kim, the saddest part is that she believed the most reasonable explanation in front of her. When someone is already in pain, exhausted, and given a clear medical conclusion, it becomes very easy to accept that the problem came from their own mistake. That very human reaction is what stops Kim, for now, from seeing that the real danger is standing right beside her. What makes the story even more gripping is that Graham clearly has an accomplice, and that may be the biggest twist of all. If he is working with someone else, then this plan could be even more dangerous and long-running than it first appears. That other person could be helping him cover his tracks, feeding him information, or perhaps even sharing the same hatred for Kim. Until that secret is exposed, Kim is not truly safe. The next stage of this story is unlikely to stop here. Since the double dose failed, Graham will almost certainly move on to something more aggressive very soon. And the more he fails, the more likely he is to become impatient. That is usually when a plan that seems flawless begins to crack. If Jacob starts to suspect that his original diagnosis was not entirely unreasonable, or if Kim begins retracing the chain of events before she ended up in hospital, Graham could find himself facing far greater risk than he ever expected. In the end, this is not just a twist revealing who put Kim Tate in hospital. It is also the exposure of a carefully constructed plot. Graham has won the opening round by making everyone look in the wrong direction. But in stories like this, the more convinced someone becomes that they control everything, the heavier the price they usually end up paying.